What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate reverse rants, no hate. So, get that light out your face. So, I saw the Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois press conference. Now, let me say, I saw a video of Eddie Hearn that was on the Fight Hub. They took the video down, basically, and this is the video where Eddie Hearn was, the interviewer asked him, like, AJ versus Dubois, how big of a fight is that? And, how does he see the fight playing out? And Eddie Hearn responded with, it's a good fight. It's not seen as the same as a AJ Fury type level fight, but it's a good fight. Well, it's not actually a done deal yet. And that day is the same day that I put the video up. I'm like, okay, that's news, because I did a video before that where I already matched the two of them up and I gave my assessment on what I think should happen and how the fight is probably going to go. Okay, but yeah, they next thing I know, one of the family told me after I put that video up that the press conference was the following day, which it was. And when I saw it, I said, okay, those things happen. So probably was a situation where when Eddie Hearn was asked that question, that the video probably was a couple of days old before they put it out or something to that effect. I don't know, but they took it down. It's not even up anymore. But that's not important. What's important is the fight is on. And I pretty much told you how I felt about that. Now, as far as the tactics go with the press conference, all AJ's opponents, try to play the tough guy role. They try to play the, they think if you try to intimidate Anthony Joshua, he'll break type. No, I really think that they really know Anthony Joshua is not soft. I think they do it to psych themselves up. It was funny to me how Dubois is saying, let's go, we can go, we want to fight right now, we can go right now. And then he's saying, you can't intimidate me, right? It's like, who's trying to intimidate who? AJ didn't say anything to try to intimidate Daniel Dubois. Dubois is saying that AJ looks relaxed. Dubois is looking like he's in a trance. Like, it's one thing that he's psyched and focused and all of that, but it's more like he's trying to make himself believe the things he says. And I mean, we've seen Hellenius do the same things, like different, like AJ's opponents. They especially after the Usyk loss, different guys are talking like trying to they have this AJ's not really a tough guy. If you press him, he's really soft. But you see how things end up going for these guys. Even like a guy like Jermaine Franklin was saying the same things that Dubois is saying. I think AJ's best days is behind him. But people got to understand, it's one thing when you physically can't do something anymore. It's one thing when you just can't. Like, I just can't do it. Psychologically, it can, either way, it can work against you. But the whole thing is, you can overcome weaknesses. You can overcome a certain mindset. It's one thing when physically your skills are deteriorating, where you're not as fast, your feet are slow, you can't get the shots there, you don't have the same punching power, you don't have the same punch resistance and things like that. So when you are dependent on someone to have weaknesses, that can backfire big time. Dubois is saying the same thing. I don't think that Anthony Joshua is the same. Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, he's definitely back, and like I said, more cerebral now. This AJ is dangerous. Like, really, look, it just doesn't, to me, I never like when I hear a fighter talk about they don't think another fighter is the same. It's one thing when we all can see it. You understand what I mean? Like, okay, this guy's not the same, but you can see it, but even in that, you still don't, especially with a veteran fighter, especially with a fighter that's been through ups and downs that have bounced back. Like, when you see them bounce back. But for Dubois, like I said before, I like this fight, and both guys are coming to fight. For Dubois, I don't see him outboxing Anthony Joshua. AJ would have to not be the same. For him to get outboxed by Dubois, I feel like Dubois' only chance is really to knock AJ out. Or if AJ gets injured in a fight or something and finish the fight injured and can't really defend himself or whatever. But other than that, I mean, like, just skill for skill, man. 2 different levels in there. So everybody, just like everybody was hyping up Frank Martin to beat Tank Davis. And they will, all these videos, 10 reasons why, Martin will defeat Davis. And Martin's going to embarrass him. He's going to outclass him. He's going to, like, all of these things that people say. And then when it doesn't happen, people forget about those videos, But, like I say, you never know what can happen in a fight. But if all things are right, AJ should win this fight. So, back to that, just wanted to get that out. I've been away for a while. I'll share something with y'all quickly. My dad had to have an operation. My dad is up in age now, and it didn't go too well at first. They told us the operation was a success. I wasn't able to physically be there. I don't live close to my family anymore. It's like, distance. But anyway, through all of that, he's doing better now. He was in the ICU, and they had to feed him like strained foods and stuff like that. So he's talking. He's cool. He's able to communicate with us and everything. So we just want to know when he'll be released home. And I don't want to see my dad end up in no nursing home and stuff like that. Whatever. None of us are gonna live forever. Everybody has their day. So right now he's still in the hospital, and he's he's doing better, much better. He's talking. He was breathing. At first, he had to depend on the breather. They had a machine on him, oxygen tank for him to breathe through. Excuse me, because he couldn't breathe on his own at first. And after a couple of days, they took him off it. He was able to do it. He's able to swallow his food on his own and everything. So his mind and everything is still there. But, my father is one of those people that he aged quickly. Like, where he his voice is really, remember how Muhammad Ali had that soft-spoken voice, and when he had Parkinson's, it was like even softer. And like my father, he doesn't have Parkinson's or whatever, but he has that very soft, almost like he's whispering tone of voice. So, when you get that age and something happens, you get that. I worked in a nursing home at one point for a while, and I saw a lot of things. I learned a lot of things. I had a whole different outlook on life working at that place. So, like I said, nobody lives forever. So even for him to get through this and go forward. My dad is 82 years old, so, just hope that he fully recovers from everything and live as long as he can. I know a lot of people who didn't outlive their parents, I was sitting at the funeral with the parents watching people my age, buried. So those things happen. So I had to step away for a little while. Things happen. But yeah, so that's pretty much part of what was going on, and I'm feeling better now, knowing that my father's physically in a better state. Mentally, he was, because he wasn't even talking for a little while. So, if, we was trying to figure out, did he have a stroke, anything? You have a stroke, sometimes the part of the brain that controls your speaking and all of that, it gets affected, and then that's when they stop talking. But he didn't have a stroke. But anyway, he's doing better, and that's what matters. So that's why I stepped away a little bit longer than what I really wanted to. But yeah, anyway, AJ versus Dubois is on, and I just wanted to make this video because I'm not going to take down the one that I put up. You know, I only put up the video based on the information that I saw, and this wasn't even someone repeating. This was like Eddie Hearn saying out of his own mouth what was what. But yeah, Dubois versus AJ versus Dubois. You know, AJ has the right mindset to not look past anybody. You know, his opponents always have this thing where they talk about other fighters and other potential fights, but it's like, you know, the reporters, man, the interviewers, they love to ask the same repetitive questions over and over, and you know, no fighter should look. We saw what happened so many times. You see what happened when guys start talking about this guy, that guy, and I want to do this, I want to do that. You're looking past the guy in front of you, and you'll say, I'm not looking past him. You are, when you can sit in detail and talk so much about the next fight and the next fight and who you want, and you know, fight by fight basis. Now, if people take that as fear, there's a lot of immaturity on their behalf. They don't understand. You can only fight one person at a time. Focus on the guy in front of you. And, you know, one thing I'll say, too, because it was funny, because, you know, Frank Warren and all these guys, you know, AJ was making a fake tough guy attempt or whatever. Like, no. Look, it's like this. If I'm coming after you, two people not going to be able to hold me back. Unless you really wrap me up. Like, you guys, come on. We're talking about a couple of elderly people standing there. Like, so, nah, I believe AJ was really irritated because Dubois is just out of nowhere coming with this whole, you know, we can fight right now if you want type. Like, just you know, he's saying these things with, you know, Frank is like, you know, he's like, Dubois stood his grounds. All right, AJ told him, don't, you know, like it's a difference between fighting in the ring. Where I'll take a chair and smash your face or whatever. Like, why did he say that? Because of Dubois' action. So it was a cause and effect. Got a reaction to his action, and that's what that really came down to. But I mean, you know, you know, that stuff doesn't even matter. And you know, even it's funny because I can clearly remember Daniel Dubois being interviewed saying, and not too long ago, how he dropped or knocked out Anthony Joshua, hurt him in sparring and knocked him down or whatever. And then he sat there and said it was like 7 years ago. I don't remember anything about it. But he clearly did say something about it before. And people like to bring these things up and continue to talk about it and make it like it's a big deal. But if he doesn't remember anything about it, then, you know, where are all these other stories coming from as well, right? None of that stuff matters anyway. And, you know, it's like this little petty tit for tat. This is the sport of boxing. And so if a fighter gets hit, gets hurt, gets knocked down, gets dropped, whatever, it's boxing. Stuff happens. Stuff happens. And that's where, if you are making mistakes, if you are rusty, you want to work that out during your training. So when you get in the fight, fighters went from saying the fight is the easy part. That's what you go through a training camp from. Now all of a sudden, every time a fighter gets in the ring and he hasn't fought in a little while, it's ring rust. So I need to get back in the swing. Like, but man, listen, the mindset have changed the fighters, and this is why I look at these fighters now. And like I said, I don't feel the sport of boxing the way I used to. You know, for what I do in my own preparation and training is just what I do. You know, my love for what I do. But as far as like just the sport itself and the fighters, the mindset for the most part, it's like it's not the same, man. These guys have a different mindset. And I always tell, you know, like if you're going to train, don't train to fight 12 rounds. Train for 15. Train to fight 22 rounds. That's the shit we grew up doing. We didn't train to fight, you know, the amount of rounds that was, you know, decided for the fight. We train to fight for however long the fight goes. So, but anyway, you know, and so remember when we heard Anthony Joshua saying at one point that he wasn't, you know, a 12-round fighter, talking about his size, and it's like I told you, it was a mindset thing. He needed to understand what he was supposed to be doing, and he needed to get back on track, you know, and that's what happens when you get frustrated. And sometimes you need someone else to be able to tap into here and help you get to where you need to. So him and Dubois both got something to prove. You know, AJ just basically, for Anthony Joshua, it's like, here's another top guy. He beats him, and pretty much now it's what happens between, you know, Usyk and Fury. For Dubois, he's trying to get there. He's trying to get to that point to say, okay, now I'm in there and I beat an elite level guy. You know, Urkovich, Jarrell Miller. Now, if those are the two biggest names on his resume, Jarrell Miller was never a champion, right? You got to look at him and Urkovich and look at as far as contenders and, you know, where they stood. Okay, cool. But now he this is the biggest test for him. And this is the biggest name on his resume. So he has to prove that he belongs here, you know. And pretty much the type of shit that he's talking and the way he's acting, I'm pretty sure he has AJ angry enough to, he's going to want to punish him in it, but, you know, in a smart, cerebral way that he's been doing his past two fights especially. So it is what it is, y'all. But they, you know, I like both of them as fighters. Now, who am I pushing for the win? Of course, Anthony Joshua. But, you know, Dubois is not coming to lay down. Dubois is going to come to fight, as he's supposed to, you know. But aside from a puncher's chance, I don't see him beating Anthony Joshua. And the funny thing is, Frank Warren goes, the jab will be the key. I'm like, well, damn, Frank, if that's the case, then Dubois already lost, because his jab isn't better than Anthony Joshua's. Like, he does it nothing better than Anthony Joshua. He's not faster. He doesn't have more power. He doesn't have better head movement, footwork, nothing. He doesn't have anything better than AJ. So, I know. That was just funny when he said that, man. I'm like, wow. And the funny thing is, he's saying that, and if the jab being the key ends up Anthony Joshua doing what he's known to do, it's like, I'm gonna look at, you know, people look at Frank and say, oh, so you knew already that Anthony Joshua was going to win. Either way, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that fight. Anyway, y'all, talk to me in the comment section. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings out the people, and I'll catch y'all on the next video.